Hello and welcome to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar. In this video we'll be sharing some quick fire quotes on Jacob Marley. But first let's just remind ourselves of what he does and what he stands for across stave 1 of the novel The Christmas Carol. So in the living world he was actually Scrooge's greedy business partner. They're equally as greedy when they're both alive together. Marley, however, dies 7 years before the narrative opens. He appears to Scrooge as a ghost, the first ghost he actually encounters, condemned to wander the world, bound in heavy chains as a consequence for how he lived out his life. Marley actually hopes to save his old partner from suffering a similar fate, and he only appears in stave 1 and helps for us as a reader to understand why Scrooge needs to change, to take away the reality that he might have a similar fate as his business peer. I think that Dickens potentially shared this character to heighten the repercussions of living a life without others and convey really a major hook to the plot. Scrooge will be visited by 3 ghosts. It's Marley that tells us that. So, quote number 1, like all 3, is coming from stave 1. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. These are the words of our narrator. The adjective old there, it's showing us how shocking it is, eventually anyway, that Scrooge is going to encounter his business partner who's been dead for 7 years. Additionally, the simile that Dickens uses with Marley being as dead as a doornail is a comparison of him being as lifeless as an inanimate object. As if that weren't enough, by using the past tense, Dickens is sharing why Marley should not be seen. He's long gone, dead and buried. It's important for us to acknowledge the fact that stave 1 is called Marley's Ghost. It's making it really clear. The quote echoes that we will see Marley as a dead man when we encounter him. He is the first of the ghosts that Scrooge sees. And because he's a friend, it's some home truths that get shared. Our second quote is the words of our narrator, but also Marley. Marley says, "I wear the chain I forged in life," replied the ghost. And our narrator says Scrooge trembled more and more. So here we have the present tense, I wear the chain I forged in life. It's the ongoing drudgery of acting out the consequences of being a miser. He's reaping his reward for being so selfish. The verb forged suggests he had choice, and it had huge implications on how he actually has his life in death. The noun chain is used actually as a symbol and also a metaphor in this quote for the consequences of being selfish. He's tied down and must wander the earth in chains for all that he's done. The reaction we get from the narrator of what Scrooge responds like is interesting as well. He's trembling. That verb signals that he's shocked. And the repetition of more and more suggests that he's concerned and that concern is intensified when it's repeated. Our final quote, "Business," cried out the ghost, wringing its hands again. "Mankind was my business." So here we have business repeated, and it's here Marley rebuking Scrooge. And that repetition highlights how life is not simply about business, and that if that weren't enough, the fact that there's an exclamation mark in the way it's said makes it clear to the reader that if Marley had his time again, he would never react in that way. Additionally, the fact that the ghost cried out is his disappointment at his colleague's words. The verb wringing, it's the almost onomatopoeic sound in the verb. It reminds us he's chained to his actions with every movement and that he was probably ferociously moving with disappointment as he says these words. Additionally, that final clanging metaphor, "Mankind was my business," it accentuates that Marley's life was lived out in a cold-hearted fashion. He treated people like they were a business, and it echoes the sentiment that we've already seen by this point with Scrooge. We understand it's wrong, and we understand that Scrooge needs the help to change with the ghosts he's going to meet.